Hello, Aloha Fridays, good morning, good evening, whatever time it happens to be. All that it matters is it's Cocktail Friday. Now, I kind of struggled with today's cocktail because I'm not exactly sure if it is a cocktail. After all, it does have alcohol in it, but it doesn't get shaken, it doesn't get a lot of things to it. So I don't know if we can call it a cocktail, but after much contemplation, I figure if a rum and coke can be called a cocktail, so can this. So today we're doing gin tea. Now, gin tea, I'm going to start the water boiling while we're talking. But gin tea is kind of my own creation, but it's not. There are certain cocktails that the one thing I love about cocktails is that they can invoke such strong memories of the past. And there's this cocktail that I discovered not the first time I ever went to Chicago, but the first time I really visited Chicago and really got to wander around and take in all the sights and sound. And it was in the middle of November. It was cold, it was snowy, and I managed to find myself in this little offbeat Chinese place, and they had like really great cocktails, and they had this thing called a gin tea, and I just fell in love with it. I think I had about 5 or 6 pots of it. All right, maybe not, that's maybe an exaggeration, probably 3 pots of it during my trip there. I really enjoyed it, but when I went back the next year, they didn't have it. They said, nobody knew what it was. They couldn't remember it. So I never got to have it again. But over the last few years, I've experimented and worked and tried to come up with pretty much close to what I think was their recipe. And I love it. So while I did here, you can't see, is I started some tea, some actual proper tea. And yes, I know it's herbal, but that doesn't necessarily qualify it as tea, but we're gonna call it tea anyways. But this is a ginger tea. It's a lemon ginger in this particular case. Ginger, it works fine, but so long as it's a ginger tea. Now, I got the tea going, and yes, I'm using tea bags rather than loose leaf tea, but again, I'm lazy, it's what you've got at home. That's the whole point of these videos. So I put 2 tea bags in here into my teapot. I've got it brewing, I've got it going. It's gonna take about 3-4 minutes for it to really seep and really start to get a gingery thing to it. So we're gonna do all our mixing of the drink in a separate glass. And the reason that I do this is because I could do it here, but I don't want to cool down the seeping process, so I'm going to do it here. Once this is seeped, we'll pour it in. So, as the name of the drink implies, the 2 main things of the drink are gin tea and gin. So, thus the name, gin tea. So, since we're going to be making a pot of this to share, all right, I'm probably going to drink it all myself. But it's going to use a little bit more than we normally do. I like to do a 2-ounce cocktail usually. This is going to be a 3-ounce cocktail. You can probably even do as much as a 4-ounce cocktail, depending on how cold you are. But we start off with 3 ounces of, again, I like Bombay. For making cocktails, Bombay Sapphire gin. It's a dry gin. It's a nice gin. Great for cocktails. So 3 ounces of that. Now, this should be a sweet tea. I've got some brown sugar here. I'm going to give a nice scoop of brown sugar. You can use regular sugar, but brown sugar just has a nicer flavor to it, I think. A little bit of molassesy. I also have fresh ginger. Now, this is, you don't have to use fresh ginger, but I like fresh ginger because it really gives a little bit more of that real ginger zing to it. I've already grated some of the ginger just to save time. You can do this on any kind of a cheese grater. the finer the better. This is a proper ginger grater that I have, and you can see, maybe you can't, you can see it's pretty mushy here. So I'm gonna put in a nice big, and you can see it's about a bar spoon. It's about a bar spoon of ginger. And put that in. We're also going to squeeze in half a lemon. And squeeze in half a lemon. So I'm cheating with the tea in the first place because it is ginger lemon tea, but we want to make sure we got that lemon going anyways. So now I'm going to give you my secret ingredient. I've tried this a lot of different ways, and the thing that really makes it work for me is allspice. Add a little bit of allspice into this. How much? Oh God, that smells great. How much is really up to you, but a couple taps of allspice, just enough to get it going. We're going to stir it up, make a slurry of it. And now this is still brewing, so to speak, so I'm going to jump ahead in time. Thanks to the magic of editing, I'm going to jump ahead in time. We want the tea itself to seep for about 3 minutes, and once it's done, we're going to add in the rest of the slurry here. So come back in about 3 minutes. Your time, minuscule, right now. Okay, amazing. Time passes without us even having to wait. Amazing what editing can do, isn't it? So we have our slurry, and it just smells really good, especially with that allspice. It really gets in there nicely. We're going to dump that into, actually let's take out the tea bags. We don't need the tea bags anymore. Take out the tea bags, we're going to dump it in. Now, one of the things I love to do with this, actually, we might want to rinse this just a tad. One of the things that, depending on whether you have it or not in the house, some pomegranate, just a touch of pomegranate juice really works nicely. I have some Palm Wonderful. I'm not going to put, it's literally, you do not want to overpower it. Just enough to add. I'm putting in just a capful. You don't have to do that. This is another, the allspice is really the secret on this one, but that's the one I'm going to go with. So we have it going here. You serve this hot. So, like I said, it's not something people always think of as a cocktail, but it's really nice. It invokes a lot of memories for me. And the way I like to do it is my teacup, a little bit of honey in it, just a touch of honey, directly into the teacup. You don't want to do it into your teapot. Where's our lid? And there we go. Look at that. Just steaming. God, that looks great, doesn't it? So this is one, hopefully you can sit around in the evenings, enjoy it. Hell, it's morning, I'm gonna enjoy it, so happy Friday. Cheers.